Over 10 million people in South Africa have received their Johnson & Johnson or at least one Pfizer jab. Almost 54,000 vaccines have been administered in the last 24 hours, and the Health Department has set an ambitious target of vaccinating 70% of South Africans by the end of December 2021. But many people in the country are still reluctant to get the jab. Let's find out why. And joining me now is public health expert and BroadReach co-founder Ernest Darkoh. Now, Mr. Darkoh, Dr. Darkoh, of course, vaccine hesitancy, a very big problem in South Africa at the moment. As we can see, I think only about 12% of the population is vaccinated at the moment, and we want to reach that 70% at the end of the year. A big hesitancy among young people. That is a really big problem. Why is that, especially in young people?
Well, I think from the beginning of the epidemic, there was a lot of messaging around the fact that the older populations were most at risk, and people who had other conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. So there was a de-emphasis on communications aimed at mobilizing young people to vaccinate as a matter of priority. However, now that as we've been progressing with the vaccination program and trying to move into the younger population, we're finding that, in essence, they're not as motivated to come forward. But I do believe a big part of that is that we haven't messaged them and motivated them adequately for them to understand the importance of why they need to come forward, even though medically they may be at slightly lower risk than the older population age groups.
And my question is, what can we do? What can the government do to encourage these, especially young South Africans, to go to vaccination sites? Because it is a hurdle. It's something that we haven't, researched properly as well, the hesitancy factor in young people especially. So what can we do now with the resources and the knowledge that we have to get people out there, to get people to go and vaccinate?
I think we can do two things. One, we need to radically ramp up the messaging aimed at getting young people mobilized to come forward and vaccinate. In my experience, young people tend to do the right thing. If they receive the right messages, they will in fact usually do the right thing more than anybody else in the country. But I think we've failed so far at messaging them adequately. And what I mean by messaging is that on average, the rule of thumb is someone needs to hear a message about 9 times or 10 times before it actually sinks in. And when you look currently at the moment in terms of the right messaging about the correct information out there, you barely hear enough of it. However, the fake messaging that's out there, people are hearing that more than 9 times, right? So it's not surprising that that side is getting great gains in terms of scaring people away from the vaccination. So we need to radically ramp up. As committed as the people, the masterminds of the fake news are, who wake up 24 hours a day to put out this fake news, we have to have armies of people who are equally committed, 24 hours a day, putting out the right news aimed at getting people to come forward and vaccinate, because it will save their lives. And as far as I'm concerned, the masterminds of the fake news, they are like terrorists, basically, because they are killing people. And the measures should also be put in place really to address the masterminds of the fake news.
Now, for me, it's also, we're talking about fake news. We've heard a lot of people saying that they don't know what's in the vaccine. And it's a question that, I hate it when people ask that, I'm not going to take the vaccine because I don't know what's in the vaccine. So what do you have to say to those people?
Well, what I'd have to say is, do you know what's in the bread you eat? Do you know what's in a boerewors that you eat or a hot dog? We don't know what's in most things that we put in our bodies. However, we trust and we go ahead and we eat those things and we live our lives. The contents, the ingredients of the vaccines are available for anybody who wants to go and look and understand what's in the vaccines. It's no secret. This is public information about the ingredients in each vaccine. And same with any other medicine that's out there that's been through proper approval processes and proper evaluation. So for me, it's a red herring. It's something that's being thrown in there again to scare people and make them question something instead of taking the action that they should to save their lives. And my point is, why basically put your life at risk? Why not see your children grow up because you believe some random message on WhatsApp or on social media by someone who's basically just trying to play a game?
Now, we've heard a lot about these African variants, as some people call it, but a lot of variants also developing here on our continent that is just, happening here on African soil. So these variants, a lot of people are also scared to take the vaccine because they say, why should I take a vaccine when there are so many different variants and this virus is constantly mutating? So should people still be taking the vaccine even though these viruses are mutating?
Absolutely, because the reality is this: if you are going to die from COVID, you're going to die within roughly 2 weeks of being infected. So in essence, the choice you have is take the vaccine and stay alive while there's a chance to figure out solutions for other variants that come, as opposed to die today. Why would you choose to die today or suffer today? Because there might be a variant that might come in the future. It just doesn't make sense. Complete nonsense, actually. So to me, the vaccines are effective. They're effective against the variants that we have. You should take that and stay alive. And down the line, if another variant comes that requires new interventions, there's a lot of work going on multiple other interventions and vaccines, and I'm sure that will be okay.
Thank you so much. That was BroadReach Group co-founder Ernest Darkoh.